Good evening, coaches, and welcome to our latest webinar on the return of the minis. My name is Darren McGuigan, and with me tonight is Neill Alcorn, and we will be both discussing the return of the under 9s and under 10s, or P5s and P6s, and how we build foundations. So we will be discussing some new content, technical content, where we'll give some information on small-sided games and give good teaching points for coaches moving forward. So good evening, Neill.
Evening, how are you?
I'm not too bad. First couple of slides we're going to put up this evening is about building mini foundations. And I believe you spoke with some mini coaches on a working group and you discussed topics moving forward for especially the return to mini rugby this September, but also some technical information moving forward that the coaches can take on and develop throughout the season. So if you'd like to just show us some of your slides, and if you want to discuss some of these stuff.
Yes, will do, of course. Just 2 seconds. Can you see that okay?
Yeah, that's it. Okay, Neill, so the first 2 slides are about building mini foundations. You're going to talk about attack and defence, so we're talking about both sides of the ball, and then some core activities that we can do with coaches and children. Some of it's terminology based. Would you like to just give us your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no problem. So yeah, as you say, look, obviously 2 sides of the ball, the attack side and the defence side. So when it comes to this age group, they progress really well from P4, hopefully on the P5 and the P6. And what we're looking at really in this one is in the attack, the biggest thing we want to really try and get our players to kind of adjust to is we want to make them get a look for space. We want to use a bit of feet work, keep the ball alive in contact, and the big thing is get that ball caught early and get the ball back into hands, because you know what it's like with these guys guys and girls at this age group. They sometimes go one hand ball and they'll try all these offloads. Just go back to the basics, just trying to catch that ball nicely, bit of feet work, and really try and present the ball well. When it comes to defence, we like to use a simple term we call snap and wrap, and we added the go forward first, because it's the same thing in attack. You want to go forward, and the same thing in defence. You want to go forward and get off the line. And the big thing is that the snap and wrap is 2 kind of terms we use to really get through the kids' heads. And again, we look at the shoulder contact, get it nice and low, and all tackles must be below waist height. And then just as soon as tackles made, let's get back to the field as quick as possible and try and get back within the game. And then with regard to our slide 2, we kind of broke down obviously the skills rugby in the 4 kind of pillars. So ball movement, ball carry, tackle tech, and with regard to breakdown. And these are just some terms we would use, and some coaches do use, and we'll have hundreds of other different terms. But simple things with ball movement, just fingers up, catch early, get that ball in motion, and the big thing try and square up, nice straight run lines, and then regard to we always say about finish at the target, get that ball right across and hands there, and use as much kind of ideas as possible. As I said, probably in the other webinars, just use your imagination. Use your spider webs. Use your cast a spell. Simple wee things to try and get the kids to remember that's how I finish the pass, and just have a bit of fun with it. With regard to the ball carry, the big thing we want to see is we want them to try and change from maybe drawing a bit more of acceleration, loads of feet work, and try and power through. And the big thing is trying to look for that off, so keep that ball alive as much as possible. With regard to the tackle tech, some coaches like I've heard before, and I've used get the jazz hands, get the hands up as quick as we can, and maybe go get that snap and wrap, as we call it, at the end there, and get you'll see all the stuff, cheek to cheek, foot and hoop, shoulder contact, and big massive leg drive. And the big thing we try and focus on is go for hips and below, to try and make sure it's a good safe tackle. Regarding the breakdown, sometimes breakdown can be a bit hard. Sometimes everyone piles into it, so it is one thing as development staff we are looking at for the season and stuff. But the big thing trying to look for is we want to kind of get away from that whole roll and trying to get that bounce, get the ball back as quick as we can, and try and prevent the breakdown as much as possible. So the big thing is try and get that offload and keep the ball alive.
So this is a framework for technical teaching points. Does do the coaches need to remember each teaching point?
No, not at all. If they can take, maybe one or two things away from this and have it in the back pocket or in the back of their head, okay, these are the coaching points that I'm really going to hammer home with the kids, and try a couple, and then see the ones that stick with the guys. Brilliant. And you know what? If you have other ones here that we don't have on the list, and the kids remember, use them, get the familiarization with it, and go with it that way.
So there's just one thing there that I see as an example on ball carry. What do you mean by catch early?
So regarding catching early with the ball carry is you want to try and get, when we say catch early, you don't want the ball to come to the chest. You want the ball to be caught in the midair. So we want to get the ball caught nice and early, so players then have a chance to make a decision whether then to take it in contact, get the pass away, use your feet work, and try and go from there.
And one more point on tackle technique. I suppose it's quite applicable for this age group, maybe where they're not as experienced. What do you think are the most important teaching points there? What's snap and wrap?
So regarding snap and wrap, it's quite hard. I kind of want to demo it, but what we look at with regarding snap and wrap, we want players that go forward, get towards the contact point with the tackle, and we call snap. So if I could have space, I'll get up and demo, but basically snap down nice and low, get a good body height, good strong position, snap into the tackle. So snap down and get the shoulder contact in for the snap, and then get a good wrap on arm wrap around, and then we continue on, as you can see, leg drive as well.
So it's buzzwords that hopefully the kids will pick up and remember.
Yes, 100%. That's what we're trying to get for you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, next slide is then we looked at with the game of rugby, like there's so much different elements to it. So we thought, okay, let's try and get some familiarization with some games and things behind it. So we picked 4 games with the Garda mini rugby, and what we've also looked at, even like the youth and the adult game, they have 6. So we thought let's kind of get like a bit of a momentum kind of continuum with it all. So when kids come through mini rugby, they have the same name of games throughout, but obviously at each age they go up, on each level there'll be different variations and adaptations to the game, but the concept of the games are the same. So when they know they play Fiji, it's ball carrying continuity. When they play France, it's about spatial awareness. It's about some more. It's about continuity and putting in loads of decision making. And then the theme, hopefully you can see it okay, is the theme around that is the time pressure one. So we kind of like to challenge the guys and the girls a bit with regard to that. And maybe put them on for like, okay, you have the ball for maybe a certain amount of time and how they can adapt to play on it. Okay.
So you're going to show us some of these in a wee bit more detail.
Will do, yeah. So the first game we look at is our Fiji one. So let me just move the camera up here so you can see. Okay, so yeah, with regard to our Fiji game, we look at ball carry and continuity. So try to keep that ball alive, and the ball carry is the big thing we look at here. And one thing one of our coaches actually, Robert Devon staff, Darren Maxwell, he every time he coaches, he says ball into hands, and you can see sometimes when we're coaching with each other and the guys, put the ball in one hand, he's like, no, turn over, ball in one hand, and it takes maybe 1 or 2 minutes for the players to get it, and he wants to get it. Once they get it after, like, right, okay, ball into hands, it's you don't hear it again. So it's just trying to get good practice into them again. So that's the big thing we look at the ball carry in this game, is ball into hands. The game itself is the attack must score within 6 touches, or if you're on the progression of tackle, have to score within 6 tackles or turnover. The scoring system works as in, if they score within 3 touches, they get 10 points. If they score within 6 touches, they get 5 points. And obviously, if they don't score within the touches, they get 0, and it's a turnover ball.
So what you're saying is, touches being the two-handed touch, the kids have got to move the ball away from the point of contact as quick as they can, or keep the ball, maybe pass along to the wing so that people on the edge get their hands on the ball rather than just running with the ball under one arm as a one-out runner as such.
Yes, 100%. So the big thing we're really trying to push in this one is, after that first touch, we want to keep going forward, we get that ball away and try and get as many passes out to where the space is, score within 3. That's brilliant. We tried it there the other week on one of the clubs, and the kids, they actually after maybe 1 or 2 minutes of getting used to it, they absolutely loved it. And that's funny, we asked them at the end, what was your favourite game? And a lot of them did, majority say Fiji, because it just gets them thinking about it. And then what you always find is they then try and do all these magical passes because they want to get that 10 points. And then you have to try and make them think, was that a good decision? Was it not? And you challenge the players in the context of the game.
Super.
Okay, perfect. Next slide is our France game, and the main theme in this one is ball movement. So we look at the attack has five phases to score. If they get 3 passes away from a breakdown, it resets the phase. So on defence, our number 1 or 2, once the number is called, they must leave the pitch either side or the back of the pitch. So that's a lot of information there. So how it kind of works is, phase means as in it's a touch, or if you're into the tackle aspect of it, then it could be a tackle. But the thing is, what we look at is if the players can get 3 passes away, so from the base of the breakdown away 3 passes, then their phase, the 5 phases of score, so their phase will go back to 0. So they get back, say 5 lives, 3 passes away, they're back to 0. And during that time, you might have maybe 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 players, and you just number them 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And when as a coach, if you shout 1, all number 1s from that line have to then find the closest touch line, touch it, and come back in. That hopefully will create space, and that hopefully will then get the players to play their heads up rugby, see the spaces, try and get the ball in the space, and try and score a try.
So what you're looking for the players to think about is, how can we keep the ball for as many phases and reset? It's probably keeping a wee bit of depth and width onto the ball so they're not coming up too flat.
Yes, 100%. Once they kind of get the aspect, if I can get 3 passes away from the breakdown, and maybe they're on the 4th or the 3rd phase or 3rd touch, and you say 3 passes back to 0, they've then got their 5 lives again, and they can understand that. And you will get some of the guys who are really good, and that's where you want the communication to go. So they can see the player in front of them has disappeared. That's where you want them to communicate in quickly, ball right, ball left, and get the ball out to the hands.
Okay, 2 more games.
Yep. So next game we're looking at is our Samoa game. And the Samoa game, it is ball movement, decision making, and continuity. So how this works is it's an overload attack for defence. So obviously there's more numbers on the attack than there is in the defence. And it's a touch or a grab. So if it's the first touch, they have to pass, or grab, they have to pass straight away. If it's the second touch or a grab, the player has to go to the ground and offload the ball. Okay,
good opportunities then for the attacking team to have overlaps, I suppose, and that needs to be dictated by the coach, depending on the numbers he or she has.
Yeah, it's 100%. And the thing is with the round the grab as well, we look at grab, just 2 hands around the shorts, so the player can keep driving forward and then look for the pass or go to deck, because what we don't want is when players get touched, they stop to the right. We want to kind of keep a wee bit of momentum, so still go forward ball.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. So the next game we call is New Zealand, and this looks at pretty much a number of different aspects. So what we look at here is ball carry, ball movement, decision making, and breakdown. So yeah, we kind of had the creative heads on here. We would like if the coaches can remember, like our attack have like different color zones on the pitch. It'd be brilliant if you could, as the groundsman would probably kill you, like have that a dyed area so kids kind of get the idea to it. But how we look at it is you maybe start near your goal line and you have maybe 10-15 meters and you have a row of red cones, and then another 10-15 meters are blue, and another 10-15 meters maybe a yellow. And how it works is the attacking team has 3 touches to get out of the first zone, and if they get out, they get 2 points. If they then have another 3 touches to get out of the next zone, then they get another 2 points. And if they get to the last one and score, then that's 5 points. Brilliant. But if you think about it, if they don't get the 3 touches in the first, then it's a turnover ball. And there's a ball will be waiting at the other end of the pitch for the attacking side that turns into the defence side that turns into attacking, and then they can attack straight away. So it's a real fluid game. We tried it there last weekend, and the players got it really well. Maybe there's a wee bit of talking through examples, but once or twice the players get it straight away. And the big thing is it actually gets them thinking of how can we get out of this zone. So what we did at times said, no, you guys are going to attack for 3 goals. I want you to try and to problem solve and think what happened in the first one, why we not get out of it, and try again, and so forth. And it was really good, really challenging for players, got really successful.
Yeah, I can imagine this might take a wee bit of time for players to work out. And they're only going to work out if they see what's in front of them and communicate and talk to each other where they need to move the ball. That's a good one for the coaches to think about as well. But again, it's rewarding people with points each time they go through a phase, and they've got to go through a phase by moving forward.
Yes, 100%. And the thing is, as well, as you say, is like, you know, if the coaches stick at this, the kids will get familiarised with it, and it'll be an easy one for them to pick up.
Okay, we question. There's 4 games with different regulations as such, and it's up to the coach then to implement maybe numbers and have different stipulations. How long do you think coaches will remember all the games, or what's the best way? Should they stick with 2 games or try all 4 games, or how long would it take the kids to pick the games up so they can remember what New Zealand is, or they can remember what Fiji is?
It's a great question. It's something we've talked about as well. I would suggest, you know, probably stick to 2 games and try them for maybe 2 or 3 weeks so the players get used to it. And then, you know, if you're moving on to different aspects of your coaching, whether it's a bit more like continuity, maybe introduce another game on top of that. So we would probably try and do for like maybe week 1 or week 2, maybe just concentrate on 2 games or the same game for the 2 weeks, and then you can move on. It all depends on how quick your players will pick it up. But I would probably recommend try 2 games and stick at those 2 games for maybe about 2 or 3 weeks, and then maybe introduce another one. But keep referring back to it, because the good thing we always say is, like, don't be worried that sometimes it depends. Don't be afraid to ask the kids what they want to play, but sometimes all they want to play is that one game, and you want them to play another game. So maybe start with one game at the end of the set and say, okay, what game you want to play? And if you know that's the game they always want to play, then you can add other ones onto it as well.
We don't want training or games to be predictable, so that's the nature of these different games.
Yes.
Okay, good stuff. The Ulster game, what can you tell me about that?
So with regard to the Ulster game, we call it the Ulster game because we think the game of rugby, we think it's an Ulster, it's the Ulster game. So it is just a normal game of rugby. So it could be 4-on-4, 5-on-5, 6-on-6, and it's just a game of rugby. So it's go forward and every rules apply. But what we would ask the coaches then to think about is adapt the laws around the attack and defence in the session's objectives. So if you are working on ball movement and you know, decision making, then maybe overload the attack for a while in the game and see if they can problem solve and find a way through the gaps and the holes. And then you flip it the other way. If you're on defence, maybe overload the defence a wee bit and try and get them all connecting, all working together. So it's a game of just a normal game of rugby, but as coaches, it doesn't always have to be the same numbers, doesn't have to be the same points, so many passes, etc., etc. So it's up to the coaches to develop what they want around the session objectives.
Okay, so maybe you could start with a game of the Ulster game and then identify maybe what's breaking down. Are they offloading the ball? Are they not moving forward? And then think about what's going to lead your next component of that training session. Or it could be a Fiji working on it. You're only allowed to work on these skills. That's maybe breaking down in the Ulster game overall.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, really good.
Okay.
Okay, and then just an example of some of the adaptations we would have, and there is loads out there, and these are some examples of, you know, an attack, as I said before, amount of passes, how many the ball carrier must work on the ground, or, you know, it could be something around there has to be so many passes for contact, or have to offload at certain times. Regarding defence, it could be defence can't enter certain areas of the pitch, so you might say to them, you know, once to do so many phases, the defence is out of it, and other defences drop their knee, have to retreat. certain areas of the pitch. And then we look at the contact level. Level 1 could be just 2-hand touch. Level 2, ball carrier can offload, but tackler has to be below waist. And then we could say to the players, level 3, game-like conditions and full contact in attack and defence. So you can talk, when players say, oh, is it contact, is it touch? You can say it's level 1 if you wanted to. So it's just a different level for the contact level.
So loads of variations for coaches then, just to make adaptations to those games.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Perfect.
Okay, Neill, I've got a wee question then regarding your games. If we can go back to slide 3, I think it is. So it's the headline of all the games. And I'm just thinking how coaches could best have this information. I'm just thinking there's a lot of information we're giving them, particularly with the details to each game. What would be the best way maybe to put this out there? As it would be in a maybe photocopy, laminate, put it up on a clubhouse wall just for them to walk past every Saturday morning, Friday night, or maybe on their phone or something?
Yeah, I think once this obviously will go up on the website, and this will be also sent out to our mini conveners. So it could be one of those ones where hopefully the clubs can get it and they can, as you say, have it up on the wall. But another one I think would be quite good is, if the coaches have time and they're planning for the sessions the next day, it'd be great that if they could send out to the parents, maybe over if they have a WhatsApp group, or tell the kids, okay, this week you're going to play Fiji, and it's around this, and it's France around that, so they get a bit of familiarisation with it each week, so they know when they come to training this is what they're getting. So maybe on the Friday night, just say WhatsApp to the parents, or on the Saturday morning they'll have if they can get stuff like printed off, they can say to the kids, okay, it's Fiji today, or it's ball carry and continuity, or it's Samoa, it's about decision making and continuity. So yeah, I think a number of different ways you could try, maybe social media, you could try through WhatsApp, or simple just around the clubhouse.
Great stuff. I believe you're going to talk about some of the early sessions, maybe as we return to rugby in September. Can you maybe just throw us up a session plan?
Yeah, we'll do.
So Neill, we're about to go into the mini rugby season as we move into September. What do you think would be the best way for coaches to ease kids back into rugby safely?
Yeah, it's what we all kind of had a chat and thought, how do we, get players back into it on a safe way. So, like, some of the players haven't done an awful lot, within regard to 6 months around rugby. So it's kind of, we want to make sure they come back in the right frame of way and they enjoy it and they come away with a smile on their face. So the big thing we look at in the warm activities is we want loads of movement stuff, loads of different type of run speeds, just so they can get used to multi-directional stuff and prevent any injuries. So the one we look at here is like loads of animal movement stuff, so it gets them moving again in all different kind of ways, and multi-directional stuff like bear crawls, frog jumps, and gorilla walks. And then we look at like the ball familiarization. So we say like around numbers, you make sure that one, it's like ball around the body, around the legs, up in cats, and then put in like a wee bit of a game. So like passing ball tag. So simply another guys who are basically it's kind of sticking them up with passing. So you might have two or four people on, and they have to pass the ball around and try and tag the players. So it's trying to really put a lot of emphasis on the first block, get them really used to coming back to rugby, and just loads of fun games to enjoy it.
Okay, so this is a session plan that we have in front of us for the first week back. And on the left-hand side, there's the activity name and the duration. And then on the right-hand side, there's just teaching notes and some regulations or rules, for want of a better phrase. So you've got the France game there for 10 minutes, and then some of the themes on the right-hand side. And then what's your idea behind breakout skills?
Yeah, so with regard to breakout skills, so obviously the France game is around, spatial awareness and a bit of ball movement and stuff. So what we look at there is then once you look at the the game, that should then hopefully one of the outcomes that might happen from it. You might think, okay, their passing is something needs a bit of work on, or their feet work. So we thought, okay, it could be passing. So we then moved on to our breakout skill set, which would be just like passing cone. So as you can see, you have 2 players that will start in this cone here. They run to the yellow. One player will step to one side, which then makes the other player step the other side. The person with the ball will run up and just make a simple pass across, and then they jog on through and they pop the ball off to the guys at the next one at the end, and it's just a bit of a continuum. And you can have this set up maybe 3 or 4, make it a bit of a relay, a bit of a race against each other, a bit of time, how many passes they can get in a certain amount of times, but also without them knowing, they're actually reacting off each other. So one person steps one way, the person needs to step the other way in space and try and get a pass away without them thinking they're actually working on a number of different activities which relates to the game that they just did.
And then you're looking for your coaches then to refer back to the 4 pillars of ball movement, and that's that catch early, point and shoot, working on some of the technique.
Yes, 100%. And then, as I said, we then looked at maybe just 2 games, so we then maybe go into the Samoa game, and with the Samoa game, it's just to try and it's still kind of working on the same aspects of the France, but just adding that wee extra part about maybe getting to the ground and looking for the offload. So it's just trying to get them used to maybe even fall on the ground again nice and safely, because I probably haven't done that in a while. So it's just a wee bit of familiarization, nothing too heavy. It's just we'd 100% just be like, first 4 weeks we just want them to stick to the touch games and really progress from that.
Great stuff. So that's a 60-minute session. Maybe most clubs are going to start back 5th September, 12th September, and then we're going to produce another 3 weeks after this.
Yeah, the other 2 weeks we have then are on down. So as you see, there's plenty of information there, and we progress on through all this information on the wee bit at the, and there'll be stuff at the end, just like other drills and skills. Will all be added on to the website at the up the week before the guys start again.
I noticed there that there wasn't much contact skills at the start. What's the reason behind this?
Yeah, I would suggest within the first month, we would recommend that we just stick to a lot of ball familiarization, a lot of catch pass, touch games, just to get the players back into use of it. Maybe around week 4 of the first month back. Go back to your basics, go with your tackle tech, start on your knees, work your way up, just so the players can get used to the game. Because throwing players straight into full contact, it'll be tough for anybody. So it's really important we progress them as we go through, and little drips as you can. And the big thing is safety, and the most important we want is the enjoyment. Loads of games, loads of small sided games. As many players touches on the ball, try and score as many tries as possible, and come away with a big smile on their face.
Super stuff, Neill. A lot of information there, and I suppose there's a lot of technical and tactical stuff between us that maybe we have a fair grasp of, but I'm just thinking about your average coach that maybe is new to the game, your mum and dad. I suppose it's maybe just getting them to familiarize themselves with maybe one or two games, and just go with stuff that they're comfortable with, and not trying to come out with too much information. Any thoughts behind that regarding getting back into things?
Yeah, just the big thing, as you say, Darren, and the big thing is just as go to kind of what you would have done previous with the guys, just so a bit of familiarization, and don't try and reinvent the wheel within the first 2 weeks. You've got a long season, and adding wee bits and pieces as we showed tonight, and please come back to us with responses if it's going well. You're not too sure on things, we can always pick the phone up to you and chat you through it. And the big thing is enjoyment for the kids, so they enjoy it and they'll come back week on week and have a smile on their face. That's the main thing.
Okay, Neill, thank you very much for your time. Hopefully the coaches will get a lot out of this conversation, and we're going to put this information all up on the branch website and get it out to Clubland, and obviously the primary schools as well. Thank you very much for your time this evening. Great chat, and I'll speak to you soon.
Thank you for having me. Brilliant. Cheers.